program. The way we thought we would structure today's program is that we would request Mayank ji to take us through the entire journey that you've been on. And after that, we would get into the main session, which actually is to actually do what we are going to be discussing today, which is from the visioning to the actual action plan. We would need to keep in mind all that we have been discussing throughout these last few months and use that to come up with a plan that is viable and relevant. So I will request Mayank to please take over now. Mayank, would you like me to share the PPT or would you like to do it yourself?
Okay, you may share the PPT. I am also sharing. Let me share it.
All right.
If there will be any, then I will request you share from you. Is it visible, Nibra?
Yes, it is visible to me.
Visible. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it is visible. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, on behalf of the that was engaged with education principles,
Your
I
voice
welcome
is
you.
not clear, man.
Okay, so I'll try to speak a bit louder. Is it okay right now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, thank you. So, welcome you all in today's session. And before we move ahead, I would like to make a correction what Nimrod said. Today is not the last session of this program. Actually. Today we are closing and wrapping up the perspectives course, and Darshanji and Deepakji will say more on it. And I think tomorrow is the last session of this program. One session is remaining, I think. So before we move ahead, let me uh, introduce how this program was designed and what were the key assumptions and ideas, rationales behind this entire program. So, while when some faculty members from SCRT, principals from Kendriya Vidyalaya and some private schools, some educationists from the state, and few people from UNICEF sat together to discuss and visualize what are the objectives of this program, how it will help principals who are leading the School of Excellence program in the entire state. So, what were the key things I would like to share with you? So, when we were discussing, we put our field experiences, what we did with principals across state in various other states as well. So here are a few things that I would like to share with you. So we were agreed that school leaders are the person whose vision and attitude play a vital role in shaping the school and its processes. And another thing that on which we were agreed that that's why the quality of leaders and leadership is critical if schools are to create the best possible environment and outcomes for their learners. Yes. And being a leader, it becomes our responsibility to ensure the right kind of environment where quality of teaching, learning took place. This requires focus on a variety of important work areas. और ये सारे work areas they turned out into our course design. The first thing was developing a shared school vision and goals, on which Joy and Nimrod were discussing with you. And Second one is developing appropriate physical and emotional environment in the school, on which Chandani discussed with us. Managing and motivating teachers, ensuring continuous teachers' professional development, providing academic leadership, join in the discussion on this area, and building healthy relationship with a variety of external stakeholders.
Mayank, sorry, just 1 second. Could everyone else please go on mute? I think it will help us hear Mayank clearly if everyone is on mute. Usha Chandra, madam, if you could go on mute, please. Your voice is breaking a little, Mayank. Please proceed. Thank you.
So is it clear now? Yeah.
Slightly muffled still.
Okay.
Better now, better. Please carry on.
Okay. And first thing was ensuring optimum utilization of resources and legal compliances through a robust process. So these were the few things on which the entire team was agreed कि लीडरशिप के क्या रूल्स होंगे, किस तरीके से हमको अपने प्रिंसिपल्स को विजुलाइज करना है, how this program will help to them. Or there is no doubt there are multiple approaches to be engaged with principals and teachers right now in academics. And the approach that we followed is mentioned here. That we agreed that over the period while working with all dimensions and levels of the system, we learned that the quality of education and teacher learning environment, collective team efforts of teachers at a school which transform a school into a productive learning organization. So these are the key features of a successful schools, and hence building such an environment at a school and team spirit amongst the teachers is critical for school leadership, and it is second only to teaching in its impact on student learning. So a more distributed leadership among teachers, students, and community may be desirable, but currently a principal is expected to assume such leadership responsibilities. Hence, principals can play the role of a change agent in school transformation. If she or he is provided with a long-term developmental support to understand and effectively execute his or her academic and administrative leadership responsibilities. A principal's perspectives determines what would be there in the school. Perspectives provide us rationales for our work and acts. Along with answering to why, they also directs us towards how it should be. While I'm saying these all, I remember a discussion एक स्टेट में जब ऐसे ही प्रिंसिपल्स और कुछ एजुकेशन ऑफिशियल्स का ओरिएंटेशन प्रोग्राम डिजाइन हो रहा था. सो ऑफिशियल्स का कहना था कि देखिए ये तो सब हमारे अधिकारी लोग हैं, ये सारे प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, ये जो अब न्यूली रिक्रूटेड एजुकेशन ऑफिशियल्स हैं, तो इनको ये बताने की जरूरत नहीं है कि शिक्षा क्या होती है, शिक्षा में क्या करने की जरूरत है. इनको डंडा चलाना आना चाहिए, यही इनका काम. बट इन दिस डिस्कशन वी थॉट दैट ये जब तक कोई इंडिविजुअल किसी ऐसे एंगेजमेंट्स के साथ एंगेज नहीं होता है, अप्रोप्रिएटली रेशनल्स के साथ फेमिलियर नहीं हो रहा है, उस जो भी स्कीम्स जो भी काम उसके सामने है, अगर उनके साथ उसकी फेमिलियरिटी नहीं है, तो फिर ऐसी सिचुएशन में वो सिर्फ आखिर में वाकई में डंडा चलाने वाले लोग ही बन जाएंगे. सो जिस तरीके की सेंसिटिविटी वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग इन स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स, जिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग की हम एक्सपेक्टेशन कर रहे हैं अपने स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स के साथ, सो इट इज डिजायरेबल कि हम वहाँ पर ज़्यादा बात और ज़्यादा फोकस इस बारे में करें कि ये जो पूरा एजुकेशन डिस्कोर्स है, हाउ इट इज वीवन, इसके एस्पेक्ट्स क्या हैं, इनके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं, इसके रेशनल्स क्या हैं. And we are agreed that there is no thumb rule कि जब हम प्रैक्टिकलिटी में हम ग्राउंड एक्सपीरियंस की अगर बात करें तो हम जिस तरह से काम करते हैं तो ऐसा कोई थंब रूल नहीं है किसी भी काम को करने का लेकिन अगर हमारे नजरिए साफ हैं इफ यू आर क्लियर टू आवर पर्सपेक्टिव्स देन इट विल हेल्प अस मोर in a significant way. So this entire program maintains a balance between the perspectives and doables as well. तो हमने हर जगह पर किसी भी सेशन जहाँ पे perspectives की बात की along with that we also discussed what are the key actionable points that we can read upon जो हमारे काम करने के तरीकों और नजरिए. After that, we chalked out what we are expecting from our school principals, in particular refers to a school of excellence. What would be the role? So, on which we agreed that a principal provides academic and administrative leadership to the school. And we identified 5 major areas which are mentioned here. You can read as well. The first one is building school environment and culture, which includes developing a shared vision and setting the direction, ensuring a safe physical, emotional environment for teachers as well as for students, building an environment of trust, ensuring shared responsibilities, enabling collaboration, and leading with excellence. The second major area that we identified was teacher professional development. I also discussed it a slide before, which includes supporting teachers in planning and designing their lessons, mentoring teachers to improve practice, and facilitating opportunities for their professional development. The third major area that we identified was teaching learning, which includes facilitating appropriate classroom organization, academic planning, ensuring resource availability, and focusing on pedagogy that encourages conceptual understanding, collaboration, and creativity. The fourth area that we identified was stakeholder engagement, which includes building relationship with parents and community, facilitating an effective school management committee, and maintaining a good relationship with education professionals. And the fifth major area on which we agreed was school operations, which includes creation and implementation of the school development plan, developing appropriate processes for budget, record maintenance, midday meal, and other everyday operations. And if you look at these 5 areas and the sessions through which we all have gone through, so you will see that these all are coherent to each other, and all these 5 areas are discussed with us in various sessions. Again, we tried कि अगर ये हमारे rules हैं, if these are our rules, then what are the key features that need to be discussed with our principals that would help them in better function and better visualization of their schools. So the major components of principal's role that I discussed slide before. Here are a few. Collective vision for a school with staff building, building effective and enjoyable teaching learning atmosphere, building ownership in teachers, managing social expectations and resources, and continuous self-development. So जो 5 areas हैं अगर उनके accordingly देखते हैं तो these are the 5 major roles that a principal should perform, and ये सारे roles को perform करने में, as I said earlier, perspectives plays a major role. So what are the perspective aspects that need to be discussed mentioned here? The first one is aims of education, perspectives on aims and education, perspectives of curriculum teaching, and pedagogy. Perspectives on child, school as a social institution, child and schools. Perspectives on human development and teachers' professional development. Perspectives on role of society in school and role of school in society. Perspectives on behavioral leadership through reflection, and perspectives on social reforms. So these are 7 areas. Those form and make an impact on principal's role. So what we tried is mentioned here. See here, you will see that in column A, there are areas of understanding which we are claiming that these make an impact on principal's role. So in column B, you'll see there are components of principal's role. And you'll see that these all are in and compilation to each other. If we say the principal role is reasoning for the school, then it means that a principal should be familiar with aims of education. If it gets clarity on this part, then it will definitely make an significant impact on principal's school vision. How his or herself, how he or she visions about her school. The second role, what we chalked down was principal's efforts toward building an effective and enjoyable teaching learning environment and culture and history. So to do these things, to perform this role, a principal has to be clear about beliefs about child, curriculum, teaching, and pedagogy practices, and school as a social institution. So these are the expectation. अगर ये होगा तो फिर definitely principals के role को पूरा किया जाना possible है. If you come to the third role, which is principal's expectation from teachers in his or her school and building ownership among his teachers. So there is a necessity that principals should be clear about nuances of human development and teachers' professional development. If we are saying that a principal's role is managing social expectations and relationship and ensuring access to resources, then a principal's understanding should be clear on role of society in education and interlinkages between society and education. If you are saying that a principal's role is legal compliances and processes development के साथ उसकी familiarity हो, then a principal should be very clear about school reforms, social reforms. If you are saying that principal's role is to better understanding and attainment of principal's role of his own or her role, then it means that he should be very clear about self-development and behavioral leadership through self-reflections. So we'll see that there is a clear interlinkages. There are clear relation between the perspectives and a principal's role. So to perform our role in a better way, we need to be very clear about the perspectives behind our roles. So these are a few things. And in this entire course, we have gone through many sessions. Here I am restating them for just recalling. First, we discussed purpose and aims of education. This was our first session. Second, we discussed learning and knowledge. In third session, we discussed curriculum, syllabus, and textbooks. In fourth session, we discussed concept of learner. Here we discussed childhood, diversity, gender, and inclusion. Next, we discussed idea of a good school. After that, we discussed the assessment. Then we discussed the feedback. Then after, school observation, academic observation, and understanding of a good classroom. And yesterday's session was on institutional leadership. And here we are now discussing school development plan that will come today. So these are themes through which we have gone through in all these days since mm, past, I think it is around 1 month. So these are the things that we have gone through. And just to make it more concrete, here I am stating objectives of each session. You may remind what we have discussed in our sessions. So in purpose and aims of education, we discussed societal need, aspiration and expectation and education. And it's in particular reference to Indian context. एम्स ऑफ एजुकेशन में हमने डेरिवेशंस एंड मीनिंग्स डिस्कस की और हमने एक दो एम्स के साथ लाइक क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट, ऑटोनॉमी, एस्थेटिक सेंस, डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज एक्सेट्रा, इन सब के साथ उसके रिलेशन देखने की कोशिश की. Along with this, we also discussed implications in school and classroom processes. In the session where we discussed learning and knowledge, we discussed different perspectives and meaning of learning, knowledge and justifications, and forms of understanding. In curriculum, syllabus, and textbook session, we discussed curriculum, syllabus, and course, their concept and relations, how we can design a better curriculum section for child learning, role of textbook in curriculum transactions. In idea of a good school session, we discussed a good school keeping children learning in center and school culture and conducive environment. On assessment, we discussed the objective was familiarity with terminologies and types of assessment. We discussed assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. We also reviewed the challenges of CCE and its conceptual and implementation level at both. We also discussed the process and tools, techniques for practicing CCE effectively. On feedback, we discussed the utility of national state level assessment findings to inform student learning levels and using assessment results for supporting student learning in a classroom. On academic observations, we discussed identification of characteristics of a good classroom, classifying characteristics of a good classroom into good. On institutional leadership, we discussed managing change, building consensus, and promoting collaboration among the staff, advancing the development of student and teacher through setting and maintaining academic standards, disseminating information about and supporting implementation of programs and supporting teachers amongst other responsibilities. We also discussed striking a balance between giving direction and autonomy and monitoring and support, and creating a school culture oriented towards student achievement. And in our last session, where we discussed developing school vision, we discussed providing all stakeholders with a shared purpose so that they can all work autonomously as well as cooperatively towards a common goal. Another objective of the session was enabling centralization through defining principles which guide all stakeholders in terms of their work, enabling prioritization and facilitating decision making, especially in the context of emergent requirements, and enabling planning of operational strategies after considering available resources and challenges related to grand reality. So these were the few things, and it was the program that we discussed in all these days. And today we shall move to the school development plan, and we'll try to make it more concrete as per our understanding. So, Joy and Neeraj. So it is up to you now.
Thank you very much, Mayank.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much for taking us through the journey so far in a very comprehensive and very precise manner. I think it's very what we are going to be discussing now. So, as Mayank has already shared, we will be trying to make concrete all the things that we have discussed so far. So, our session today is on school development planning, basically, the translation of the vision into an action plan. So, I hope I'm audible. Please let me know if I need to speak in a louder manner.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you very much. So I will just briefly recall, sorry, I haven't gone into slide mode. Excuse me. Yeah. I will briefly recall our discussion yesterday. Although Mayank has very precisely laid down the key ideas that we shared. So we said that the vision is an expression of all the members of the school and other stakeholders on how they want the school to be in the future. It's a clear vision and of what the school will be like after it utilizes all the facilities it has at its call. Also get support from outside as well as within to implement certain strategies intended to reach the goals. We also discussed that vision is a very collaborative exercise. It involves all stakeholders so that there is a shared ownership and a commitment towards heading towards the desired direction, towards the desired goals. And as Mayank also stressed, it is also allows a person to a certain amount of autonomy, allows the leader also to give that person autonomy to take decisions because the alignment is there towards a vision. Everyone is clear towards a vision. So it allows autonomy in taking decisions on the spot in case there is a sudden change or the leader is not there. It is not as if there will be confusion. So part of distributed leadership that we spoke of on Saturday is also this part of creating a collaborative vision. Joy took us through the process of vision development. He also talked about how teams are formed and how it is important for us to realize that there is a process of team formation and there are certain sometimes opposing views, sometimes there is even acrimony, there is disagreement, sometimes very violent disagreement with certain ideas, but these are natural stages through which individuals who are put together as a team go through. So as the principal, as a leader, you have to be aware of this process and help your team move through this to a point where there is synergy amongst all the members and they can all move together in one direction, which is not to say that there will be total agreement. If there is total agreement, then sometimes change is not possible. So of course there will be issues to resolve all the time, but the larger goal, the larger direction will be set by the vision and everyone will move towards that vision. We also discussed an illustrative checklist to assess the present status of a school. We used one of the case studies to fill up this, to review this checklist. We said that every school could have its own checklist depending on their vision, their priorities. So, but it is important to have these indicators in mind because, as we will discuss later, monitoring the progress towards a vision is an equally important part of planning as setting goals and timelines, etc. So it is important for us to have as a group in the school these indicators in the form of a checklist through which we can assess the status of the school. And finally, we said that while the vision has a certain practical importance, which we just discussed, of everyone knowing where the school is headed, been able to autonomously contribute towards the attainment of this vision. There is also an emotional aspect in the sense that there is this ownership of the vision, and all members of the school are attached to the idea of the school of reaching this vision, and so are the stakeholders, since they have been made part of the entire process. So I will stop here. If there's anything anyone wants to say, anything that they wanted to share yesterday but could not, so I will stop for a minute. I will proceed then. So, very important part, as in the recall, Mayank also mentioned, is that the principal is a change agent for the transformation of the school. The present status of our schools, what even if it be very good, we still want to aspire to an ideal. So, one very important aspect of the principal's work becomes to manage change. So, before we proceed into the details of the visioning to action, I would just like you to I would just like to take you through some concepts. The most prominent people in this area are Michael Fullan and Hord and Hall. I have chosen Hord and Hall because they have situated their ideas in about 15 years of research on how schools change. And they have come up with some very simple ideas, but very powerful ideas. So I would like to share some of these with you. The first question, of course, is what drives change? So change in a school can either be driven from outside or from inside. So an example of change driven from outside are the schools of excellence that you are heading. The state has decided that there will be certain schools of excellence, and they have committed to making certain changes to facilitate these schools, starting with the selection of principals and then allowing you the autonomy to recruit teachers, to invest in infrastructure, learning facilities, etc. So this change has been driven from outside. So while this change is important, what is equally important is the change that comes from within. Once you have everything in place, then the way each school will progress will be different, depending on the context, depending on the vision each school creates for itself, depending on the relationship of the stakeholders, depending on the nature of the district, depending on the current status of the schools that you go to. There will be certain little differences, because the most important, the most ideal change that comes is from within. So, another example that we can take is that any program that is run by the state, this is a program, this is a change which comes from the outside. But to make that change successful, for correct implementation of that program, for implementation of the program in spirit, the change has to come from within, which means that the teachers, the principal, led by the principal, and any other stakeholder who may be involved will have to drive the change. So the question then is that how does this change from within come? This change requires certain special conditions and also opportunities. So what these special conditions are, we will discuss in the next few slides as well, and the opportunity as well. But if I have to put it at its most simplest, schools which have a culture of learning and growth are the schools which are able to drive this change from inside. If you remember, we talked about distributed leadership on Saturday, and we said that while the individual is functioning within a system, um, there are certain opportunities for leadership for each individual. So we said that leadership is not just a role, it is a process. We said that at certain points, different people can be leaders for different processes of the school, sometimes even learners. And we concluded that by this process, schools end up with a culture of learning and growth. So, if a school has to change from within, this culture of growth and learning is very, very important. And we also discussed the elements of a school culture wherein this kind of a learning and personal development takes place, leading to the growth of the school. So, to summarize once again, while change can be driven from outside through a mandate, through a program, through some government order, the actual effective change, the change in spirit, in implementation, happens from within the school. And this is possible through a culture of learning and growth. And this culture of learning and growth facilitates certain special conditions and opportunities, which we will discuss in detail now. So these special conditions and opportunities, first of all, need change facilitators. So when Mayank spoke of change agents as the principal, agents, facilitators, someone who drives a change has to be supportive, has to assist, encourage, persuade, motivate, encourage people to innovate. And once this has happened, to make sure that this change persists. So while you can be an agent of change and set certain processes in motion in your school and set up a PTM, a monthly interaction, or you can strengthen the functioning of the SMC, or you can speak about generating more opportunities for children to participate in the running of the school. But you have to facilitate the persistence of this change. This change has to be more permanent. And this will be possible through encouraging people, through assisting them, persuading them, and encouraging them to innovate, and then nurturing this change, making sure that this kind of change persists by giving responsibility to others, by creating structures and processes wherein others take responsibility to commit to the change. So, this kind of a facilitation will be necessary for any kind of change to happen. Here, I just wanted to share with you a definition of innovation, which is a generic term for any process, program, or any kind of a practice that is new to a person. So, something that is happening in some other school, when we bring it into our school, could become an innovation. It is not necessarily something very big or completely out of the box that we have to bring into the school. It can be some small change. It can be setting up student governments if they don't already exist. It can be initiating a practice of debate in the morning assembly on certain issues. It can be anything. It can be a weekly meeting wherein teachers sit and reflect and create some kind of materials for their learners. It could be any small change, anything which is new to a person. So when we say innovate, we mean bringing in something new and something that you haven't done already. Now, change can mean different things as well. Change can mean changing the overall culture of the school, or it can be as big as that. So it can be a very large change, like maybe setting up the schools of excellence as model schools could be a large change. Similarly, deciding that this is our vision, these are our institutional values, and this is the kind of culture we want, that can be a big kind of a change. Or it can be small, specific interventions like the one I just mentioned. So it could be small things that you do also, which are very specific to certain areas, certain processes in the school. It could be starting the practice of distributed leadership in the school, or it could be giving children responsibility entirely for the MDN. So these kind of changes are all equally important, the big ones as well as the small ones. And of course, the kind of culture that pervades the school is the one that will facilitate this kind of opportunity, the kind of conditions for making the kind of change. And to take this discussion further, there are certain principles of change that Hall and Hoare have discussed. So I will be discussing those with you as well. So these principles of change are something to be kept in mind while we move from the vision to the action. These are important aspects of school which we need to keep in mind. So the first change principle is that change is learning. It seems quite obvious that whenever anything new comes into the system, anything that we want to do differently, whether big or small, professional learning becomes a critical component of the change. Now, this professional learning can either be independently driven, or it can be driven by all the members of the school, or it can be something which you seek through other agencies, through organizing trainings or development programs. So, but professional learning is a very, very important part of change. And this learning, this process of learning is embedded in the change process itself, which means then that while change is happening, people need to support each other, they need to help each other, they need to collaborate, they need to find solutions, they need to find new ways of doing things. So, all this learning is part of change. The second principle is that change is a process and not an event. It is not something that happens suddenly. You cannot expect that you decide to make a change in the teaching learning process. You introduce a new approach to pedagogy in the classroom. It will not happen immediately. You teachers will learn, students will learn, parents will learn gradually. They will understand and become more and more competent in making this effort, this change. Parents, like in one of the case studies that we read, the parents felt that one of the teachers who would interact with the children a lot, his classes were very noisy, and they felt that, learning is not happening, even though the children were performing better on tests than the other classes. But because we are so used to quiet classrooms, silent classrooms, so it takes a long time to be able to learn, understand, and be able to perform a role competently in the event of this change. Which means then, as a principal, as a leader, you have to have a lot of patience and you have to nurture, as we discussed earlier, you have to nurture this change. Give kind of whatever kind of support is required. You need to be ready to provide that kind of support with a lot of patience. The next change principle is that the school is the primary unit of change. So while there are external people to the system, to the school from the system who will be important, for example, someone giving professional development or the CRC coming and giving on-site support. So while these are people, are these stakeholders are very important, the support from the larger system is very, very important. It is the school which has to change. The system will adapt to whatever the school is doing, but the school is the primary unit of change, which means when we talk about change, the two large things that come to mind are: one, infrastructure, which we do not mean just buildings, etc. We mean learning facilities, we mean libraries, laboratories, we mean places where children can sit and work on independently. We mean functional toilets. We mean the facilities for hygienic and easy distribution of the MDM, the place where it is cooked. We mean all of that. And of course, the school culture, which is slightly more abstract, which is not so concrete. So these are the two things which need to change, because as we already discussed, infrastructure is not enough. The culture, the school culture, how you use the existing infrastructure, how you develop on it, how you collaborate with each other, how you facilitate the change, these things become very, very important. So, school transformation, as the schools of excellence, there is focus on building infrastructure and learning facilities. But at the same time, the culture is equally important. And the culture has to be set by, the change in culture has to be led by the school head. The next principle is that organizations support change, but it is the individuals that implement change. So, as with the school, so with the members of this, as with the school and the system, so with the members of the school and the school itself. So, while school will be this unit of change, while the ecosystem will support this change, it is the individuals, the teachers, the learners, the parents who have to change. So, therefore, it becomes very, very important to understand each person, to understand how each person will respond to the change, and to anticipate that and help them make the necessary changes. So it is not as if the school changes. The school is it's made up of all the individuals that are part of the system of the school, of the stakeholders. So the school will change only when the individuals will change. So therefore, as a head, all the stakeholders, it is your responsibility to take them along, to help them understand. First of all, you should know how each individual will react to the change, and to facilitate change at their end. And also to understand, it is only when these individuals change will the entire school change. I'll pause here for a minute if anyone wants to add anything, because I've gone through a lot of slides without inviting any inputs. I'll wait for a minute. So moving on, the next change principle is that interventions are key to the success of the change process. So we already discussed this, that change can be very big or it can be small. What research shows is that the most important interventions are the smaller ones. And it is these small interventions, these little things, that little changes that are made, which add up to the making a final difference, to making a final shift, a final transformation. So Hall and Hod referred to something called water cooler conversations. So two teachers talking with each other, deciding to do something differently, learners and teachers trying something new. So all these small interventions are the ones that are the most important. And it is the when a critical mass of these small interventions builds up, that the larger changes take place. A change in the classroom environment would need small changes. It would need a change in the interaction between the teachers and the learners. Maybe it would need a change in the seating arrangement. It might, like in one of the case studies, need making the classroom more attractive by having students' work put up or reading material put up. Maybe a small activity before the beginning of each class. So these small things, but many small things tried out over a period of time will will help in transformation of the classroom environment, of the learning environment. So that's another change principle. The next change principle is that appropriate interventions reduce resistance to change. So, as the earlier change principle said, that it is the people who make the difference. It is the individuals who will create the transformation. The school itself is nothing without the individuals. But the thing is that whenever there is change, it is natural that there is a sense of loss, maybe even pain for the old way of life. There is discomfort. We still haven't been able to, in both the case studies we looked at, and even if we look at reality, we haven't been able to do away with the idea, especially among parents, that hitting a child, corporal punishment is necessary for learning. So there is a discomfort. We remember our school days and we say nothing, we learned well, and parents come and tell the teachers that corporal punishment is important. So the feeling, this needs to be addressed. That's just one example. Doing anything differently, introducing activities into the classroom, using aids in a meaningful way, even giving autonomy to learners, even as something as small as allowing classroom transaction to be developed on the basis of questions. So there is always a certain amount of discomfort, and you maybe tend to feel lost also, because again, like the change principle once said, change is learning. So you have to start learning anew. So there is some discomfort, and there are a lot of questions that has this been tried already? Does this work in our context? Will this really make a difference? Will this really improve things? How can this small thing make such a big difference? So all these questions are also there. So there have to be appropriate interventions to reduce this resistance to change. One, of course, is to understand each individual, to speak to them, to anticipate the kind of discomfort they would have and discuss it with them. Open dialogue, again, would help. And of course, having a vision that everyone is committed to, and creating an action plan based on that vision, and actually rationalizing each action. Small interventions like that, these are few examples of interventions which could reduce the resistance to change. Change principle 7 is that leadership is essential to long term success. If we are to have a sustainable change, something that is not happening today and not just for today or just for a month or so, if change has to be sustainable, then leadership is essential. This is something that we discussed on Saturday also, when we said that amongst the factors affecting teaching, leadership was only second to teaching. Sorry, to school effectiveness. Among the factors affecting school effectiveness, leadership was only second to teaching. So leadership becomes very essential for the long-term success of any change. So it becomes important then for the leader to access, to try and ensure that the necessary infrastructure changes are made, and long-term resource support, not only in terms of funds or in terms of materials, but also in terms of on-site support and professional training, etc., that these are available all the time. Another thing is to design policies. Now, this is something that can happen at the school level also, but mostly at the state level. So an important part would be for the principals to be in touch with the leaders at the district level, at the state level, and to advocate for policies that make infrastructure change and resources for continued innovation available. So, for example, again, the schools of excellence, there is the infrastructure changes have been legitimized. So there is a separate fund, there is a rationale, there is this availability of a policy which says that, okay, these schools, we will see how it works, we will invest in infrastructure changes in these schools. And there are also policies in our country, fortunately, which are focused on long-term professional support of teachers, principals, and also of schools. So these are things that would be useful in sustaining change over a period of time. At the same time, certain things have to come within the school. So as we said in a few slides back, that the change that is ideal is the one that comes from within the school. So creating opportunities within the school for personal professional development would be another very, very important part of the long-term sustainability of the change. The next principle is quite obvious. It says that facilitating change is a team effort. So I think we have said enough about how, and it is something that we have all experienced also, how when people work together, change is possible. So taking everyone along, in getting everyone invested into change towards a particular vision, which is collaboratively developed, making sure that you are also equally committed to the change and are seen to be committed to the change, are seen to be learning and changing, uh, would be an important part. Also, people who are not able to commit themselves completely, motivating them would be a useful way, but also in creating a culture in which the everyone is motivated to work towards the vision. If you're not aligned to the vision, then making sure that there's a rational discussion on what can be done to build your commitment. So all these strategies would build a critical mass in which it would be not possible not to be part of the entire change process. So essentially, taking your team along is a very, very important component. Now, mandates are also important. That this needs to be done. While teamwork is equally important, but as a leader, you also have to clearly express priorities and expectations when necessary. So this helps in communication. It helps in the communication to every individual, what is expected of them, what is the priority. So this in turn helps people to keep learning, keep changing. When these kind of priorities and expectations are very clear, then it is easy to identify who needs support, and it is also equally easy for individuals to reach out to support for support. Schools are clear about what their priorities are, what the expectations from them are able to reach out for help. And another very, very important thing that results from mandates is that there is time for implementation. It is very clear how much time is available and how it can be used for the implementation of the change. And the last but very, very important principle is that the context influences the process of learning and change. So here, context is defined. It is said that the culture, which is the human or people factors, and the physical features, that is the infrastructure and the facilities, together they make up the context. So the context is the socio emotional, cultural, physical context of the school. So this context becomes different. And it is difficult then to say where the individual or the collective effects are of this context during the change process. So if there's a certain school culture, it is becomes a collective responsibility of all the people in the school to work towards maintaining this culture. Sometimes it is difficult to say whether the desired change is not happening because of people or because of the lack of infrastructure. So, thereby, it becomes important to analyze carefully the context, the strengths, the areas for improvement, something that we've been talking about, so that we can take a call on what to focus on and what is it that we can work towards immediately and what is it that we can work towards in the near future. So I will pause here. If anyone has any comment or any suggestion, observation, any sharing of experience, that would be nice. Would anyone like to share any experience of school transformation, of any change that you have brought about in your school? It might help us frame these principles in that, with illustrate these principles with the help of that example.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Uh, means I joined this school 4 years back, and many changes I tried to bring. First of all, I emphasized on improving the quality of education. So the enrollment increased drastically, and when I joined the school, there were total 150 students. Can you hear me, ma'am? Hello, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Please
Hello.
proceed. Yeah, yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes. When I joined, yes, in the year two. Yes, in the year 2015, when I joined this school, there were 150 students, and after 3 years, due to laying stress on bringing quality education, the enrollment increased to 400, and I also emphasized on the all-round development of the students. Means the students should excel in all fields, like apart from means achieving a high percentage or improving the quality of education regarding academic activities. They excelled in co-curricular, like they did well in dance in the district and state level, as well in sports also, in song competitions, in essay quiz writing, quiz competition, essay writing competitions, speeches. So the means the name and fame of the students and as well as the school, it spread far and wide, and the more and more number of students joined the school. And another change I brought, that the students should have the means competence in general knowledge also. So I started emphasizing on presentation of students on different days according to the classes in the assembly regarding general knowledge, news. I installed a newspaper stand, and through this kabar se jugaad. In that way, the worn up and broken tables, the desktops were welded and used as newspaper stand, and the students had the practice of reading the newspapers, and they started presenting the news and the latest up to date general knowledge in the assembly class wise. And this ways their general knowledge increased, and they started representations also. They started speaking in the microphone on the stage, and their confidence level increased. So this way the school, the enrollment also increased due to the improving of the quality of education. So in this, I think that I was quite successful in bringing a change in the school. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. The way I understand it is, ma'am, like the small interventions that are referred to in the principles, in the change principles, you brought out small changes, like you made newspaper reading a habit among students. You got them to make presentations in the assembly. You changed the kind of participation in co-curricular activities, and thereby you felt that the confidence of the student increased, and you focused on all-round development. So ma'am, can you describe the process of change? So what kind of discussions did you have with the teachers? What are the things that the teachers did differently? What kind of support you provided them?
Hello. Yes, yes, ma'am. The means another thing what I did that I observed the teachers and I observed the teachers regarding the way they had the proficiency in different fields, and with that observation I assigned the different duties like dance to someone, quiz and general knowledge like that. So with the when the proficient skilled persons were given assigned the duties, they did very well, and I got the teacher support and to appreciate them. Those teachers who brought the students at the platform of district and state level, I felicitated them in different occasions. This way, the teachers got motivated to work, and they did very well in different fields. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So again, the illustration of the change principles, you understood each individual teacher and you aligned the responsibilities you gave them with their own interest. So that in a way it was that itself must have been motivational for them, and a lot of appreciation and even felicitation of the teachers, so that also motivated the team, and I think must have encouraged them to make the change to do things differently and to do more than they were doing already. Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. That was very motivating for me also. So anyone else would like to share?
Yes, ma'am. I am R.K. Gupta from
Yes,
Bilaspur.
sir. Yes, sir.
Um, I was promoted as a principal in Mughali district government higher secondary school, Longaria, in 2011, September 2011. Are you listening me, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
If, yeah. If I would have seen the school, perhaps I would not have preferred that place for being as a principal, because there were hardly three rooms in that school, and out of 3 acres area of the school, people have encroached more than 2 acres of land, and people were encroaching, and they were just visible from the window of the school. And first of all, I tried to find out the reason why people have enclosed. So I came to know that the people who are powerful in the village, they have instigated their people, their persons to enclose the ground, and so educational activities could not be performed properly. I met the community members, I met the SMTC members, and they were all in favor of those who have encroached because some belong to this party and some belong to that party. That was the reason. But very cautiously and very slowly and steadily, I changed the mind of the people that the students who comes to school, it is a place of development for overall development for them. So they also to make approach. They also make effort to eradicate the encroachment. So it took me 5 years. It took me 5 years to eradicate the encroachment, and ultimately I succeeded. And the mind of the people changed, and they all gave very much important to the development of the school. And what happened? SMBC members is continuously at the meeting. I called the community meeting. They all supported me, and within 7 years, it was the school was from high school to it was developed as a higher secondary school, And in the beginning, there were hardly 120 students. Now, in 1918, there were more than 500 students.
Wow.
Students from the outer in the city, they used to come to take admission in my school. And with the community support, I developed the ground, and with the cooperation of panchayat, there were boundary walls, and with the help of the community members and the people of the village, I was able to make CCTV camera in all the classes and in the campus also. And the results were for the last 5 years. At secondary school, 95 to 100%, and to high school, more than 80% every year. So I had a very, I succeeded because of my creative mentality and taking hold of people of the village, and it brought a great change in the way of thinking of the people. They are now devoted for the development of the school. They themselves realize that
Wow.
whatever I did in the school, beginning they were opposing me, but later on I became the hero for them. They always supported me, and they were always ready to help to do anything for the school. And that was the success of me as a principal of that school, that I brought change in the village, total village, in that village.
Yes.
It's a matter of satisfaction for me also. Later on, then
Yes.
I got transferred to Glasgow for some reasons, and when I came to Mendra High School, within 6 months, I changed the total scenario of the school. People still realize it. And now at present, I'm in the heart of the city at Vilaspur, Lala Lajpat Rai School. And I hope I have got the opportunity to change. I will surely change the environment, and I will get the aim whatever the excellence school has made. Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing such an inspiring story. And like you have said, that you changed the mindset. And the way I'm seeing it is, sir, that if I try and illustrate the principles with this help, first of all, it took a long time, but when it happened, it was sustainable. And you did many small things. First of all, you found out the reason, then you got in touch with, set up the SMC with people who would support this effort. You advocated the importance of education. You also put up CCTV cameras to make sure that even the physical security of the school was maintained at all times. And I think this is a clear illustration of understanding the stakeholders, making a larger team. Your team became larger than the school. The SMC became part of your team. And I think the kind of success you've had, sir, is something because it has happened slowly over a period of time, and people have learned in the process. It would be a sustainable change, and it has improved the effectiveness of the school, as you shared, sir. So thank you very much again for a very motivating and inspiring sharing. Would anyone else like to share? So thank you very much, Madam and Sir, for sharing. I will now hand over the session to Joy.
Yeah, good evening, all of you. So, in the last discussion, I have one suggestion. Nimrat, what I think all the principal should write their journey. What sir's experience, what you are sharing, sir. I think people should know that, and the group of 40 principals in this group all have their own experiences. So we should also write our all experiences and all our reflections, and we can share with large group in the state and across country also. So that is just a suggestion to you. Okay, now we will move to a concept. Basically, in our day-to-day life, we are applying that, we are following that, and we always use that concept in our day-to-day life as well, in a professional life also and in personal life also. But it's good to talk about little this, because many a time when we are working in pressure, we are working in various challenging scenario, there is a situation when we feel discomfort, we demoralize and very demotivating. So this framework always help us to understand and to see ourselves, introspect ourselves, and to act further. So basically, this is a circle of concern and a circle of influence. So if we see, there are a lot of things, like the circle of concern is saying that what I should do. So I should do many things. There are many things which I should do. From my expectation, from me, from my institution, there is a lot of things is expected. So it is always very broad, it is always very big. But now I have to analyze that, I have to see which are the things which I can influence. If you remember in our last session, there are different stakeholders, many of the things which I can do, many of the things which I need different support and cooperation from other stakeholders also. Many of the things are dependent to other stakeholders. So many a times you cannot do what you want to. But if you do this analysis, what can I do? What are the things which I can influence? If you chalk down those things, then it will make life more easier and simple. Now, why I am saying that? This is a good quality of a leader. Any leader should have this quality. And if you take an example of any leader, even you all, if you see, there are such circumstances when you know what should I do, but in my what is in my hand and what I can do. So you always do this analysis, and then you reach to your goal. Now, after deciding what I can influence, then you decide what action should be taken. Then you take your action. So you have to balance on these 2 points. What is the area of concern and what is the area of influence? If you see both the circle, now gradually there are different research, there are different studies which say that any person or a leader who regularly act on his circle of influence, gradually his or her circle of concern getting minimized. And there are various examples, excuse me, and there are various examples you have given in the last date. When you have faced any challenge, there is a trouble, there are problems, how they come over to all the challenges, and you have sorted various problems with individual efforts and support from the team member. So that is the thing what is suggesting in this concept, that is circle of concern and circle of influence. Do anybody want to share any small example when you faced any big problem, but you tried out and you used your circle of influence and sorted that problem? Is there is any example anybody want to do that? Any small example? There are not many people who have not talked.
Sir, should I share my own experience?
Yeah, sure, madam.
Yes, sir. One thing it happened that in my school there was a person who was a relative of education minister, and he was posted here. But hello,
Yeah, your voice is breaking, ma'am. Hello.
hello.
Yeah, now it is audible. Please tell me.
Yes, that person was posted here, but he was a relative of education minister, so he used to work at the local this office of education minister. Just I asked his this upasthiti regular that means he is attending the office there. Just I asked one that you should bring. You work there, but you should please send your attendance. That means how much you are working there. Hello. But
Your voice is breaking, ma'am. Manisha, ma'am, your voice is breaking.
he transferred because of his influence. He got me transferred to another school. But okay, sir. Okay.
Actually, there is some disturbance. So it is not very much clear, but it is something around some human resource issues. And then there is
Yes.
some, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, at that time, no, DO helped me. So just that I wanted to ask. DO helped me. Just said that you go and say sorry to the education minister, but it was none of my fault. Then also I had to say sorry. That's all, sir. Then.
Okay. Any other person want to share this? Any experience? Anyone other? Okay, then we will move ahead. Nimrat, next slide. Now we have another 15, 20 minutes. So we will now discuss on what we have talked in our vision and planning and all. Then how we develop a plan to meet the future. It is in short, a simple view which will help to understand. So the first stage is that we do an assessment, then prepare our goal, then we do planning. What yesterday also we have discussed in the same point in the visioning part also, the 5 steps, if you all remember. Now in assessment, where are we now? So this is a very important activity. This is a very important part of our work. We should know where are we now. हम कहाँ खड़े हैं? Because until and unless we will know where we are now, it is very difficult to draw a line what we want to achieve. So there is a process through which you can understand where are we now, that we will discuss further. And we have also discussed yesterday, in which we have done an evaluation of a school with different areas. And basically, it is an assessment process to know where are we now. Then after that, in certain areas, if like in infrastructure development, then assessment and learning, where we are, where is my school is now standing, if I know, then I will set goal for that specific objective. What is the goal of that particular area? Where do we want to reach? You know? Like some of you have shared that it is an excellence school, so everything should be excellent. Excellent. है ना? There should be a good learning environment. It should be a learning resource center. So we have set a goal. Now, if we set a goal, it should be, we will see that the school as a learning resource center, then move from here. So what is our planning to move from? And is it connected with the vision? And how we are going to monitor? So all these things, all the three pillars, what we see, assessment, goal, and planning, this will set your institutional culture. And institutional culture is followed, created, and evolved by the team who are regularly engaged in that institution, as well as all the stakeholders. So these are the very important component of our school development plan. Okay, Nimrat, you want to add anything?
Nothing. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So let's see the next slide. So these are the evaluation sheet which we have done yesterday, and this is a process which we are discussing based on that case study which we have discussed in Saturday and yesterday also. And there are different indicators, and broad indicators heads are like physical environment, safety and hygiene, teaching, learning, learning evaluation, administration and management, teaching, community relationship, and school culture. So one thing I want to say that this is a suggestive indicator. Okay. So broadly, these are the suggestive indicators, and you are open to add or delete as per your school, as per your institutions. Because some are the very basic things which need to be there, and there are many things which we can add when we are in our school, in our location. Many of the things we can add. Now, based on that school, the both the case studies, we have done a proper evaluation. And after doing the evaluation, we have rated each and every indicators. Now, you can see here in the PPT, like the school have infrastructure as per norms. So 1 to 5. So 1 is an minimum, and 5 is an good, is the best part. Is it correct, Nimrat?
Yes, Joy.
है ना? हाँ.
One is least, five is
So,
maximum.
yeah. So that means if the rating is 1, then there is lot of scope of improvement is there. And if the rating is 5, that means the appropriate physical environment is existing in that school. So based on our all observation, we have done the assessment. We have done the assessment with considering this evaluation sheet. So take an example like midday meal is prepared and served in the safe and hygiene. So we have given 2. That means to reach 3, 4, 5 or 5, what are the things which we need to do? Then according to that, we have to plan. Functioning of SMC is 1. That means in that school, SMC's participation involvement is nil. So now as a teacher, as a principal of the school, you have to prepare a plan how we can plan to motivate the SMCs to include in all the institutional processes. So this is our evaluation sheet, and we have done rated each and every indicators. Okay, so in next slide. Now what will we do with these indicators? Actually, we need a proper process of consolidation which will help to understand that. Now, if you see, list out the strength and area of improvement of your school in the column 1 and 2, which I will show in the next slide, in the table provided below. In the third column, pick the 5 most important area of improvement that you feel is required in the school. Remember to apply the criteria agreed earlier in the session. So what we have decided, what the principles decided while discussing envisioning and planning, that need to be considered for them. Then rank the 5 identified priorities by giving the most important problem 5 points, the second most important 4 points, and so on until the least important in awarded just 1 point in order to need you felt. Remember to apply the criteria agreed easily. So this is the process step what we will see in our next slide. Next slide. So this is the 4 column. Based on the evaluation we have done, you have to mention this. According to that evaluation sheet, what are the strength of your school? You have to list all the strength of your school. Then what are the areas which you need improvement? That also very clearly you have to mention. If you see that there are 10 things, 10 areas are the strength and there are 7 areas which needs improvement, then you have to prioritize that. Which are the areas to address first? If there are 10 areas of improvement, so can you please show the previous 2 slide, Debra? This Excel sheet. Now you see the Excel sheet. If you see precaution related to prevention of infection due to COVID are taken. So it's rated 4. That means it is in a good situation. We can say that it is a strength of our school. Now another point is, if you see in the teachers, planning by the teachers, that is in 4 rated. That means it is a strength of our school. Then teachers attendance is very good. So you have to write all the strength of our schools. Then you have to see which are the areas which need special attendance and the areas which need improvement, which get 0.1 and 2. Please shift to that slide. Yeah. So now here there is an elaborated example. If you see, based on that evaluation sheet we have written here, our strength is interaction between the teachers and the learner, COVID-19 related precaution, teachers attendance, planning by teachers teaching learning, classroom is very attractive, teacher attendance, relationship between member of a school, interaction between the parents and. So I took all the strength of my school and accordingly I have written in this column. Now, which are the areas which needs improvement? So all the points are mentioned here: infrastructure, hygiene and safety, midday meal, extracurricular activities, school records. So there are many, and it is always possible. If you see in our school as of now, there are many areas which needs improvement. There are many areas, because we are just initiating, we are in the establishment process. Lot of thing will be evolved, lot of thing, new practices we have to take forward. So there will be many areas, but process is important. As a leader, I have to regularly do this process. So now if I have a list of area of improvement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So if I say that you have to prioritize it, in a same time, we cannot work in all the 15, 16 areas. And we can work also, but there are some areas which need priority. So you have to identify any 5 or any 4 or any 6 that you have to decide which are the areas of improvement which needs in priority. And prioritization is also a management tool. Prioritization consists of considering all the responsibility or tasks and decide which is the most important to take up first, then the next most important one, and so on. As a principle, it means doing first thing first. As a process, it means assessing a set of tasks and grading them according to their importance. And so this principle is very important. The second point what I have mentioned, as a principle, it means doing first thing first. As a process, it means assessing a set of tasks and grading them according to their importance or urgency. Importance or urgency. So these are the 2 things which we need to remember when we are doing prioritizing. because prioritization have its own importance. Prioritization is an essential skill that we need to possess to make the very best use of our own and our team's effort. It's also a skill that we require to focus our energy, attention on the things that important and meaningful in our life. So the third column is focusing on that one. After doing this, now you have to rank it. Which areas you want to do first. Actually, if you see now, what I want to say one thing more. It looks like a mechanical process, but I am very sure all of you are knowingly, consciously or unconsciously following the same process, because you have different kind of challenges in your school and different kind of areas of improvement in school. You do discuss with your team, you do prioritization also, and accordingly, based on urgency and importance, you decide which things should I take up first and which should I take up the second. So naturally this process goes, but as a institutional leader, as a manager, as a coordinator, this systematic process help to grow the team also. That's why we are discussing this. Next slide, Imran. So after prioritizing, we are in the process where we write all the ranks 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then what we have prioritized that need to write, or according to that, we will set our objectives. If it is for teacher development, if it is for child learning, if it is for anything, based on that, we decide what will be the specific objective. You see, from 2, 3 days, what we are talking about? We are talking about vision, then we are talking about, when talked about goal, then we are talking about objectives. So vision, goal, objective. Basically, if you see vision, mission, goal, and objective, है ना? So vision जो है, it is a long term thing, a very long term. Now it have to break into it in a mission, like सर्व शिक्षा अभियान is a mission. 10 साल का ये मिशन है हमारा. Then specifically is objective, and objective is very specific. So one area of improvement needs one specific objective. Now based on that objective, there will be a several activity and you can easily plan your task. So we can see an example in the next slide how we will write the objectives. Yeah. So this is just an exemplar. If you see hygiene and safety is our priority, then personal and community hygiene will be taught and practiced by all members of the school in all processes. Safety of student and staff will be ensured at all times. They are present on our school premise. If you see student attendance, all the students enrolled in the school will be present in school or at home. Distributed leadership responsibility will be shared by all members on the school. So this is the process when you have now very specific object. Now there is a point written smart objective. So can anybody say that what do you mean by smart objective? Anybody can share? What is smart? Nobody? Anybody same something? सर कुछ कह रहे हैं क्या? Okay, so I will share. Now, a SMART objective, the full form is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So, S means do set real number with the real deadlines. Don't say I want more visitors. So, our objective will be very specific. Second is measurable. Make sure your goal is trackable. We should not make such an objective which we cannot measure. Okay. For example, if our school have a capacity of 500 children, so I can set an objective to enroll. My target is to 100% students, 500 students. So it is simply easily measurable, and that is my objective. Then the third point is attainable. Work toward a goal that is challenging and possible. Don't take simple objective or a simple goal. So it should be attainable. You know? So it should be have some challenge, which will be the motivation for you. Then R is for realistic. Be honest with yourself. You know what you and your team are capable of. So we should not set such objective which we cannot do, which we cannot objective. Because I know my strength, I know my weakness, I know my circle of influence. You know, here you can relate. I know my circle of influence. So based on that, my objectives should be realistic. And the last point, which is very important, is time bound. Give yourself a deadline. इतने तारीख के अंदर ये करना है. Now, everything what you going to do on setting objectives, you should always apply circle of influence and circle of concern, because this will both will go simultaneously. Okay. Now, so these objectives. Now we will move for next slide. Now this is the last slide. Nimrat, next slide. Yeah. So this is the last slide, which will help us to see our detailed school development. So if you see from vision to our development plan, this whole process we have discussed by taking an example of 2 schools. And if all the teachers, my team member are part of this process, so they are very clear about our school development plan, and it is very easy to work on it. And as a leader, we should always know that everything cannot be. It is possible that what you have planned, it will not work many times. So always we have to be ready to change. We have to be flexible. All these qualities we should keep in our mind. So now against the objective in the first column, what will be the course of action? I have decided this is the objective. Now what is the course of action? What are the resources, budgets and implications? So I will do analysis on this also. What are the resources required? Then assign responsibility. Who will do that? I have a team of 20, 25, 30 people. Who will do that? That I will also decide. And who is the best person or group to implement? This is a very important part. Every leader should know in my team member which person is have which skill. Should know our team. And the last point is timeline. When will it be implemented? So this is a framework. So we can see an example in the next slide. Nimrat, next slide. So this is an exemplar. Like personal and community hygiene will be taught and practiced by all the members of the school in all processes. Now course of action, internal awareness workshop, internal workshop, committees of student. We will make a committee of student in our school from every grades. Like in primary level, there is 1 or 2 person, in middle, high school and all. They have their some role. Committee of teachers for midday meal. They will regularly monitoring for the quality and all. Now, what are the resource and budget implications in this activity? There are no resource and budget, because we have to form a committee and it is a monitoring kind of thing. Then assignment, all the members led by the principal. Now the principal is important to form this committee and specify their role and all. When should we start it? It is immediately we should start, because it is an everyday process. The day school is open, this thing need to be done. So this is one example. Let's take one more example. Safety of student and staff will be ensured at all time. They are present on school premise. Now, what is the course of action? There is a boundary wall, then regular inspection of premise. These are the two things which is very important for the safety kind of thing. So if we don't have boundary wall, we need resource funds from boundary wall, then teachers on rotation basis. Who will go for monitoring? Who will do the inspection? So in first half, these two teachers will monitor, in second half, they will monitor. So we have to make plan accordingly. And whom to assign, that may be principal, community, and some district functionaries also. Because we need budget and funds, and that for that we have to talk to district functionaries as well. And now timeline, as soon as fund raised and immediately. Now this is also take some time, a long process, this funds and all. So based on that, you will make your plan realistic. And that's why smart objective. We should make our plan realistic. So this is the close framework we have discussed of a school development plan. So I hope you people are already into it, and many of the processes you are following and what we have discussed, it will also help you to make more specific school development plan. Because I remember actually every year it is a process, January or February, there is an order came for a school development plan, every school submit and all. It is very comprehensive. But in the last moment, in an urgency, it is submitted with hurry and all. So I think this is a school of excellence. So it should demonstrate the whole process, how this has been done. And you can see in any place pasted like poster and all, this is a school, this is a vision, this is a mission, and this is our school development plan. Anybody who is visiting this school, they should know what is the this year plan of school and what are the best practices they are doing. And you can make it as much as detail you can, because any institution has its own culture. How we understand? If I take an example of a railway station, so what do you see in railway station? There are a lot of people who are waiting. There are a lot of people who are coming down the train. There is a ticket counter. You know, there are different kind of trains. If you take example of another institution, for example, I will take what and non-educational institutions. If you take, so people go inside to that institution, they get a feel of different things. Now, if I say that if my school is a learning center, so how without saying me, how without telling anybody, any person who is visiting my school should understand, yes, this is a learning center. Now, what are the things I have displayed? What are the processes should be there? What are the practices children are doing? There are different curricular activities. There are GK competitions. There are activities for adolescent girl. There are some kind of activities during prayers and all. Anything we can do. And that is the beauty of any institution, and people love it. And it is more make the institution attractive. And it is only possible when we do this in a collaborative manner, what we have discussed. So this is all about the school development plan and its process. Hand over to Nimrat to discuss.
Joy,
Or anybody
Joy,
want to say something?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Joy, I was just wondering if you could speak about the fact that we put teachers as per norms and subjects as a priority, but we haven't put it in the action plan. So if you could just share about that in the context of circle of concern, etc.
What?
We had put in teachers as per norms and subjects as a priority, but we haven't put it in the school development action plan. So if you could please discuss that. Why we haven't put it in the school development plan?
Okay. Yeah. Wait a minute.
You want me to go back?
No, it is not there, I think.
Yeah, it's this one in this slide. Teachers ask for norms and subjects, but it is not there in the school development plan. So if you could just briefly discuss that this is something that is out of is in the circle of concern. The school is not responsible for the recruitment of teachers that the state is responsible for. So while we list it as a priority, we have not included it in the action plan
Yeah. Correct.
because it came up yesterday also.
Yeah. So basically, what point Nimrat is telling, there is one point, teachers recruitment. So this recruitment process is more an administrative process in which distinct functionaries and all they are also involved in. So normally we try to look this school development plan more on after operationalizing this school. When you have a whole team, when you have already started, students are teaching learning process is going on. So from here we have visualized this. So as of now, we have not included in this framework in the process. So that is the thing what Nimrat wants to say. So okay, Nimrat, now we can move ahead.
Right. Okay. So we have about some 8-9 minutes left. So like yesterday, some thoughts for you to take away. I will just keep reading. So this is about teamwork as a flight of geese. When you see the geese migrating to a warmer place to avoid the winter, pay attention. Could everyone else go on mute, please? So pay attention that geese, when they fly to a warmer place in the winter, fly in a V formation. So these few slides explain why they do so. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock increases the flight efficiency by 71% compared to just one bird flying alone. The first lesson from this is that sharing the same direction and working as a team gets us to the destination quicker and easier. So 71% times faster, 71 fast time percent faster. When a goose leaves the formation, he feels the resistance of the air and the difficulties of flying alone. Then he quickly comes back to the formation to take advantage of the flock's power in front of him. So the lesson 2 is by staying united, the effort will be less, it will be easier and pleasing to reach the goals. When the leader goose gets tired of flying, he goes to the end of the V formation while another goose takes the lead. So lesson 3 is to share the leadership. There must be mutual respect between us all the time. Leaders change, but leadership should not. So this is important. Leaders change, but leadership should not. The geese flying on a V formation, when they're doing so, they quack to encourage the ones in the front. In that way, they keep the same speed. The fourth lesson is then, when there is courage and encouragement, the progress is greater. When a goose gets sick, is injured, or gets tired and must leave the formation, other geese leave the formation too, and they fly with him to help him out and protect him. They remain with him until he dies or he is able to fly again. So, lesson 5 is let's stay beside each other no matter what the difference is, especially in times of difficulty and great challenges. And the overall lesson is with the spirit of teamwork, regardless of our differences, we can meet the challenges and reach our goal much efficiently. If we are aware of the feeling of sharing and creating, life will be easier and more fulfilling. So let's be like the geese. So that is it from our side. Joy, would you like to add anything, or anyone else would like to add anything?
I think if anyone have made anything school development plan and they want to share something, so we have 5 minutes. So in brief, we can talk. Anybody in your past school and all, any specific, any good learning, any good practices. JC madam is also with us from SCRT. Madam, you can also share something. So friends, actually, while we are preparing this module and all, JC madam is also with us that time.
I think I made an error in the beginning. I think this was the last session. So if Mayank or Joy could please explain what the future is. I mean, tomorrow, the plan for tomorrow.
Yeah, Mayank, if you want to say something, then we can. Okay, then if there is nothing, then we can.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thanks a lot.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you
So
very
we,
much for this opportunity.
so we close here. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
ma'am.
to all the team of Student
Yes.
Review Foundation. Thank you to all the participants for joining the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thanks a lot.